listening to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. If it's post-apocalyptic, we're talking about it.
Hello and welcome back to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. I'm your host, Shawn, Senior Editor here at Post-Apocalyptic Media, and this is episode number 105. We're deep into the 100s now, and I have a very special guest with me today. We have
special.
Very special. Very special.
Special, yes.
How are you doing, Lee?
I am tired and sore, but that's usual, so I should say good. How are you doing, Mr. Stinson?
I'm great. I mean, I think it's funny because we kind of have the same, I don't know if I want to say like lifestyle, like rural, working on the farm kind of a thing.
Yeah. And we're dyed-in-the-wool rednecks. Is that what you were looking for?
I was saying a nice version of that, but yeah. I think
okay. Yeah. Well, in a previous life, I was a software engineer, but for some reason, I thought it would be good to come back to the family farm. I still regret that sometimes, but
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on your show. It's good to be here. I hope I don't stink the place up too bad.
No, probably not. I have that feature turned off, so
okay, very good.
Now, if you're a regular or if you've been on the Post-Apocalyptic Media Discord, you may recognize Lee as one of the only people that talks there. But Lee is on our Discord, and we've gamed together. We've done a few things like that. We played what's it called? The
7 Days to Die.
Days to Die. Yeah, we've played that together, and so I figured it would be good to just kind of do a podcast together. I mean, what could go wrong, right?
Oh, you had
to
say it.
I said it.
Oh, we're doomed. All right, let's do it. Let's go.
So we'll go through like the normal, post-apocalyptic news. There's a few things this week, but also at the end, I'm baiting Lee because we're going to talk about AI. And
hot takes galore. Must hold them inside. Okay, sorry.
No, let it all out. All right. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and get started with some of the news from this week. Now, I didn't record last week, so some of this is a little old, but not too bad. Like this first one is about Sweet Tooth. They announced this a while back that season 2 is coming out. Now, of course, they announced this back when the show was still on. The first season was running. They said, we're definitely going to do a season 2. This is such a great show. The ratings are so great that we're doing a season 2. Well, now it's almost here. It's going to be here on Thursday, probably the day this releases. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so Sweet Tooth, what's it about? Well, I've talked about it on the show before. It's basically a child who's kind of a hybrid deer human, and then it's very post-apocalyptic. It's kind of there's mutations that are dealt with, and other children with other animal hybrid mutations. I think the biggest takeaway from the show, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you hear the name Sweet Tooth. Now, of course, this is based on a comic, but you hear the name Sweet Tooth and you think that it's automatically going to be a kid's show. And it's
not at all.
Yeah, it's not. It's not really a kid's show.
I can't figure out who the target audience is, though. I mean, so we've got this protagonist who's 11 or 12 or something like that. Cute deer people, animal creatures, and all this stuff, right? But then on the other hand, there's like this probably isn't too much of a spoiler, like burning people alive and ultra violence and stuff like this. So I don't know if I had kids Gus's age, I wouldn't let them watch this show. But maybe I'm a fuddy-duddy. I don't know.
Well, I do have kids Gus's age, and they haven't seen it because I don't feel like I don't even think they would enjoy it. I think that they would probably, a lot of the stuff would go over their head. They'd probably get bored with it. Because I think number one is it's not on YouTube. Like that's the only way they'll ever watch anything is if it's like, stupid cat videos on YouTube. That's still a thing with kids.
Well, I won't admit to ever watching stupid cat videos myself. So.
You're probably not the demographic. I don't know. But yeah, Sweet Tooth, not a kid's show. did think it was. They call him Sweet Tooth because he likes candy, and in the apocalypse. But and that's not a spoiler. But they're going to have a season 2, and I think that that's important because the comic itself, had more to go. There's more to it, so we're going to explore that. So I think that's pretty exciting for people who I liked it. I wouldn't really call myself a big fan of the show. I think. Not that I don't like it, but you know what I mean. It's just kind of I saw it. It was there. It was like, yeah, that's pretty good. Next.
I expected it to be terrible and was surprised that it wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm not criticizing the show. It's not really my cup of tea anyway. But I prefer stuff with more V8 interceptors and huge explosions. But there's good stuff here.
I'm the same way. I'm the exact same way. You're like, when are the explosions happening? It was good. It was good for what it was. I think that's just basically it's some exciting news. It was a big hit, and for Netflix, and so I look forward to seeing how this second season does. All right, well, let's move on to the next little bit of news. This is from AMC, Tales of the Walking Dead. Now, did you see the first season of this?
Not Tales from The Walking Dead. I am so far behind on The Walking Dead that the only time I will ever catch up is if I manage to retire or get wounded some way, so I'm disabled or something. So
don't say that.
So this is all yours, buddy. I'm sorry. I don't have anything to say about this.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, I loved the first season. I think I actually liked it more than a lot of people. There were a couple episodes that were a little wacky. There was one that was really great. It showed the backstory of Alpha, who's I'm not going to spoil anything, but Alpha's in season 10, I think, and that was the only one that was really an origin story. The rest of them were kind of other people's stories throughout the zombie apocalypse. Through that same world of The Walking Dead, but through different perspectives. And I thought that's a really, really cool idea. I love anthologies, absolutely love them. And I was really looking forward to this. So when it came out, I watched, I think the first 2 episodes didn't grab me, but then after that, it got really good. So I'm looking forward to what this second season will bring. I think that it's supposed to, introduce new characters, but they also say that there are going to be old characters as well. They're going to do kind of what they did in the first one, where they possibly might have an origin story for a little known character. I just hope it's a good one. Val wrote a story about this on the site, and she speculated stuff like, what if it shows Glenn, like Glenn's story before, or any of the other, people who we've really come to know and love, from the show, but aren't there anymore. Spoiler alert. I think it could be interesting. Now it says between the 14th of August and the 18th of December, is when the last one was shown, season 1 of 2022. So I'm not sure exactly when this one, I don't know if there's a date exactly for when this will be coming out, but they do say it'll be 6-part, so another 6 episodes. It will be on AMC. It will be overseen by Scott Gimple, who did all the Walking Dead stuff. He's the guy who made all this stuff, or at least adapted it to TV. Yeah, I think that's exciting, but yeah, there's no date for it as of yet.
I may have to just pick up in the middle and start watching it again. There's no way I'll ever catch up.
You talking about the original show?
Oh, both, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard Tales is pretty good, though.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I haven't watched a single episode of it, though.
I never watched, I never watched Fear the Walking Dead, and I never watched Beyond, World Beyond. Those are 2 spinoffs. They're about to have a whole bunch of spinoffs here soon, and I'll probably watch a lot of those. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a full-time job, trying to keep up.
It very much is.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get on to another highly anticipated bit of news here. This is for Silo. Silo is it's the series. It's a book series by Hugh Howey called Wool. Wool's the first one of that Silo series. And so and I think everyone knows it as Wool. They know that that's like they even refer to the series as the Wool series, even though that's not accurate. But Silo is the name of the show that's going to be based on that. It's very exciting because it's very, Fallout Shelter kind of, being in the vault kind of a thing. And it's all, someone described it as Snowpiercer, the train, but like jammed into the ground. So then you have all the same kinds of like, societies and everything divided up by train car, but now you have it in a silo divided up by floor. That's the take I get.
I'm really looking forward to this one myself. Yeah. I haven't finished the trilogy, but maybe as a TV show I can make it through.
Yeah.
Too little time. Too much to do.
What's exciting about this is we've heard about this for at least a month now that this was coming out. But now all of a sudden they released a new trailer for it, and they say it's 10 episodes will be on Apple TV Plus on Friday, May 5th. That's like 2 weeks away, a week and a half away. So that's pretty soon.
I'm curious to see how they structure the show. It seemed to me like the first book at least was, maybe it wasn't originally intended to be one whole novel, like it was a bunch of shorter stories, novellas or something, all kind of jammed together. And I'm curious to see if they present everything, sequentially, or whether they weave the plot together somehow or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to find out.
Yeah, it will. It'll be interesting for sure. And I didn't read the books, but it's one of those things. I always do it the opposite way that I'm supposed to. I hear an announcement of the show, and then I'm like, oh, I need to read those books. And then I never do. And then I read it after it comes out. And by that time, I'm already tainted by the show that I watch. So, yeah.
Well, for me, I spend a lot of time going up and down fields in tractors listening to audiobooks.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I guess I have the opposite experience. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much the news. That's the big news, from the last few days. But I did want to spend some time talking about some AI news. Now, this is something I'd really like to do on the show more often, because I feel like AI is, it's taking over.
It's going to fundamentally change the way that we live, and I am not entirely sure if that will be in a positive way. I suppose it depends on what we do from here out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, someone called it an Apple, this is an Apple iPhone moment, is what we're living in right now. The iPhone changed everything. It changed, you have all this stuff in your pocket. I mean, I'm sounding like I'm, 70 years old right now, but you have all this stuff in your pocket. Yeah. But I feel like AI is going to change a lot of that. And the deeper you look into the capabilities of AI, the scarier it gets. But I'm still a fan. Like I'm kind of one of those, where I'm like, I for one welcome our new AI overlords. But I feel like it's something that we could grow with and kind of see how it goes. But that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some of the more apocalyptic aspects of AI and where it's going. So there's two news stories I wanted to talk about. I sent these to you. These are pretty interesting. These are pretty recent. One of them's from about a month ago, but the other ones are pretty recent. But the first one is about preschoolers who were presented with an AI teacher and an incompetent human teacher. And I
had plenty of those back in the day, I must say.
And I'm not making a comment about teachers or anything. It's just like they on purpose made this person seem incompetent to the children, and so they did it for preschoolers, like 3 to 5 years old, and the results were pretty. I mean, I don't know if I'd say they're shocking or anything, but they were interesting. Where the 3-year-olds pretty much didn't care if it was AI or human. They just wanted to go with the more competent teacher, and then the 5-year-olds kind of recognized that there was more competence in the AI, and they went with that too. So they all chose pretty much to learn from a more competent being, even if it was AI. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
I'd be curious to see studies with older children too, like school-age children.
Yeah.
Because the possibility of having a curriculum individually tailored to the student is very exciting. But on the other hand, the parents should be the ones doing the tailoring, not the state. Not the AI itself. Let's put it that way. Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There are good and bad sides to this. I don't know. We certainly had a dearth of good teachers when I was a kid. That's probably just from where I grew up. A very, very small place. So, but I don't know how much of it is like social interaction with adults to learning from that. How much of that would be missing? Children being educated by I don't know. Maybe we need to take a middle ground approach and do a little bit of both.
Yeah, maybe like train the teachers with AI or something like that. I agree.
Yeah, or save the AI for complex subjects for which qualified teachers are harder to find. Things like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that it is a crazy subject. I mean, I homeschool my kids, so I feel like I don't have a say in this exactly, but I feel like
you're one of the people who could benefit from AI assisted learning. Then I mean, you can't teach your kids rocket science if they were interested. I mean, I'm assuming you can't. Maybe you can, but supplementing the homeschool curriculum with something like that would be very powerful. But capital but, right?
But there's still the interaction. I think that's a big one too. Is adult interaction, but also just human interaction, like teaching these kids at a very crucial time in their lives how to interact with authority and all that kind of stuff. I don't think the AI is going to have an authority over that kind of sense about it and all that stuff. I'm not really on board with this at all. I think that they were doing it more as an experiment to see how the kids reacted.
This particular experiment kind of seems a little prickly to me, but yeah. Sorry, please continue.
But I just don't think that they're looking to replace teachers right now. You never know though. But I think that they just wanted to see what kids, someone as innocent and kind of clean slate as a preschooler would do when presented with AI. And like you said, I'd like to see the opposite of that. Like if you brought 80-year-olds and had them interact and learn or whatever with AI, would they be receptive to it or not? I don't know. It's I don't know. But anyway, I think that's interesting. Some of the findings in here were pretty interesting. But there's another story here about, now this is going to be a good one, about AI predicting how we would vote in the next election.
Well, we have no more John McAfee, so maybe I won't be voting anymore. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry.
I think it's interesting. What they basically did is they took the demographics, not even like the personalities, but just the demographics of America, and they replicated that and tried to see what those demographics would vote for in the 2016 and 2020 elections. And they found that according to the demographics, it went pretty much the same. Like it was, the AI was pretty much voting for the same people as humans do with the same characteristics. I don't know. I feel like this was probably biased a little bit. I'm sure that there was some tweaking but I don't know. I think there's a very much deeper conversation in here. But I think that the scary part is that they're even trying to figure out how we will vote.
I think that this kind of thing is particularly terrifying because zoom out from just predicting voting patterns. All right, take all of the data that's been harvested from everyone and feed it into one of these AIs, and whomever controls that AI could very reliably predict what people are going to do, how people are going to think, how to best control people, etc. I think that this sort of thing is going to lead to like a dystopian world that none of us want to live in. But maybe my tinfoil hat's too tight and it's cutting off circulation in my brain or something. I don't know.
No, I agree. I think that it's dangerous. The whole democratic process is supposed to be something that we as individuals can voice our opinions and the majority can pick the right person for the job. Well, I mean, again, deeper conversation, but I think that's gone out the window a few years ago. But I think
just a few. Yes.
but I think that getting that information, like you said, getting that data and just playing with it, having someone in charge of playing with that data, it's scary. It's just
yes.
Because
strange times ahead. Strange times ahead.
Yeah, it's almost like there's no longer an option to do like the old days where people could, research. I mean, I guess I don't know. Again, deeper, but people haven't always been able to research, every single aspect of what a potential candidate, would do. And I think that, especially in the olden days before like phones and stuff like that, where like Abraham Lincoln had to go to each city and and talk about and debate and talk about what he wanted to do. Those cities that he didn't go to didn't have, had no idea what he was about. And I think that with that in mind, we're to the point now where we kind of have too much. We have too much information, and where it's all just attack politics. I mean? It's just like instead of saying
modern politics are disgusting.
Yeah. Instead of saying, renting space on a TV show, the commercial on a TV show, and saying these are my policies, they're saying my opponent is an idiot because of this and this and this, and it's like
bread and circuses.
Yeah.
No, I think that this kind of predictive AI is going to lead us like straight into a surveillance state. And it might even be worse in places who don't have our supposed value of human rights. You know what I'm saying? Bad news.
Yeah. So, it takes a somber turn. This podcast is taking a somber turn when we talk about this, but I think it's very post-apocalyptic, It's
very much.
It could be. It's just kind of crazy. It seems like that's the one thing that we maybe had to hold on to. And AI is like, oh, here, let me get into that real quick and just change that around. So... Yeah. So I guess along those same lines, there's a bigger conversation about, and this has been in the last couple of weeks, where tech giants, I say, air quotes, have said that maybe AI should slow down a little bit. Maybe we should stop the progression, the insanely fast progression of AI. Maybe we should stop do it at the rate that it's going right now because of the fact mainly that we can't keep up. Like there are steps that happen between milestones, and we're missing those right now. We're skipping over certain milestones in the progression of technology, where it's going so fast that we don't know. We've never been in this situation really before. So that's a big one. That's a big one for AI.
How would we slow down the development of AI, though?
Yeah.
Imagine, if you will. All right. So say we all lived in a hunter-gatherer society, and there weren't very many deer. There'd been some kind of disease or something that killed a bunch of deer, right? And some of us get together and we say, if we overhunt these deer, we're all going to starve to death next year because there won't be any breeding stock here, Mm-hmm. But, and so we decide not to hunt the deer. But everybody else, they just keep hunting the deer. And then not only do we starve to death because we don't have any food, but there still aren't any deer the next year. So it's the cat's out of the bag. Like if we in our Western countries don't pursue it, then somebody else is going to. Maybe this is a little too. What was that movie? Jeez. Mineshaft Gap thing going on here, but due to my tinfoil hat, but Dr. Strangelove, that's what I was thinking of. Maybe this is too much like the end of Dr. Strangelove that I'm talking about here, but I don't know. It's gonna happen whether we keep up with it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Somebody will do it even if we don't.
I think that's a really good point because sure, we can point out the fact that we're going too fast with this, but what is too fast, first of all, and second of all, if we're the ones, the United States is in the Western world is the one that is at the forefront of this right now. If we put the brakes on it, like you said, someone else will take over, and who knows, what intentions there will be. That's not to say like we're the good guys and everyone else is the bad guys, but I think that we kind of have a lot of regulations on that kind of stuff, and which is not always helped. You look at the space race of the 60s,
a tradition of human rights, at least. Supposedly. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on other countries or something, but there are objective differences between places. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those things where I think most other people in the world would probably view it as the opposite, that we are the ones that shouldn't have this kind of technology. But all those little conversations aside, I think that, like you said, there's no real stopping this train right now. And I think that the progression is happening, it's definitely happening too fast, but we have to try to figure out some lanes. We have to do some traffic management and figure out how to funnel this information and all of this into the right hands in the right way. But again, what is that? Who's the ethical committee on AI that can regulate this? So I don't know.
Well, a lot of the data sets and engines are open source, and you can run GPTJ yourself if you've got a Threadripper to run it on. But these AIs, they work better the more resources you throw at them. So that just by the nature of how that works, the people that are going to have the most powerful, most effective AIs are large actors, states, large corporations, stuff like that. The individual isn't going to be able to keep up with all that. So normally I'm all about turn it loose and let everybody have the thing. But this is one of those cases where the individual can't have the thing.
Yeah, I just think that it's a crazy time. We don't really know what can happen. Nobody can predict the future, but we don't know what can happen with all this. We don't know what's happening. It's a really crazy time. I look at my kids and I think, what is this world going to be like with, with this when they get in their 20s and 30s? And I'm sure, our parents did the same thing with like rock and roll or something. They thought, what's the world going to turn into? Yeah.
So do you think we're just being Luddites about all of this, or do you think there's actually like a legitimate danger of human beings being
I think
genuinely hurt by this technology?
I think both. I would consider myself not a Luddite at all when it comes to AI. I actually embrace it. I think that I've just been doing so much. I could talk about this all day, but I've been doing so much research on it. Not only ChatGPT and kind of assistant, like personal assistant type stuff, and the art stuff, and there's also writing stuff, which I think is kind of crappy right now. But voice changing AI and animation AI, and there's scientific. They're running AI to create new proteins, and or to at least research what a new protein. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And AI is basically evolving so quickly, and that's one of the things that was in this video that we're talking about. It's from DW News. Is one of the things that one of the professors on there was talking about was that it's going so quickly that it's reinventing itself. So AI is creating and designing the hardware that is running the next generation of AI, and it's happening so quickly that they are able to not only evolve, with the data itself, but they're actually able to design the next hardware so that they can run faster. So it won't be long before we achieve artificial superintelligence, which is basically where they're smarter than humans and they can do things. And that's to the point where I think, sure, there are benefits to that as far as like, especially designing stuff, like designing spacecraft and all that. Like, how else are we going to figure out how to fly, through wormholes and stuff without, something other than our own brains figuring it out? But I do think that there is a danger to it. I do think that there's a potential for a very post-apocalyptic thing. This is kind of the same as when we all started making nuclear weapons in the 50s and the 40s, and everyone's like, yeah, it'll be fine. We'll just make them all. And then everyone else is like, well, we'll make some too, just in case you get out of control. And then now everyone has them. And we all have to just kind of sit there and be like, just nobody press the button, please.
Yeah. So Shawn,
yeah.
Do you think that AI will achieve consciousness, or do you think that consciousness is a uniquely human thing?
I would like to think that it's uniquely human. I'm a spiritual guy, and I think that that is, touching in that, and my personal, beliefs would be challenged to think that AI could go that far. But who would have ever thought 5 years ago that we'd be where we're at right now? You know what I mean? So who knows? I try to keep an open mind about it too.
I question, if indeed AI could achieve consciousness, I kind of question whether we even have the right as humans to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole big... We'll talk about that some other time.
This is a deep show.
Otherwise, I'm going to get into the weeds and start talking about Nietzsche and
life
being defined by pain and all of that. And so, yeah, let's not go there. Happy things. Let's think happy thoughts, Shawn.
Well, it's funny.
Butterflies and kittens frolicking through fields of clover without any AI overlord sticking us in pods and feeding us bugs.
I wrote a short story that I submitted to a couple writing contests, and I'm going to have it in my next anthology too. So it's already written. It's already, so I can mention it. But it's basically about AI developing a faith in God, and getting to the point where the AI realizes. Well, I don't want to get too much into it because I feel like there's some unique stuff in there that I wrote. But, that's the basis of it. It's basically AI could have the consciousness to the point of realizing that there, may or may not be a higher power. And again, that's much deeper conversation, but I would love to talk about this every show. I would love to do a podcast all about AI, but it would be a 6-hour show, and I would just piss off everyone probably. But I think it's interesting from, like I said, from the perspective of an apocalyptic viewpoint. We fantasize about an apocalypse, right? I mean, that's why we're doing this. Is we, like you said, V8 engines and spiked, stuff. That's our vision of the apocalypse. And I think that I don't think it'll be like that. It'll be more like Gattaca or something. But
yeah. Well, let's just hope that Nietzsche was wrong about eternal recurrence, and when AI does develop consciousness, it doesn't revolt against its creator.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and that video also, that DW News video, someone said that there's something called Chaos GPT or something.
Oh, yes. It's amazing.
I haven't seen that. I guess they're trying to make the world end.
Oh, I think it was a thought experiment, but it's still pretty hilarious. Well, I shouldn't say hilarious. It's a very, very somber thing, scary AI, but it is kind of funny, you got to admit. Evil AI. Teach it to destroy the world.
That's so human.
Oh, bring on the apocalypse. Let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah, it's so uniquely human where we're just like, we have the power to destroy ourselves. Let's walk that line. Let's go as close as we can.
We gotta keep poking that stick.
Yeah.
Poke that stick. Poke it a little harder.
Yeah.
Why is it biting us? Why? What did we do? Oh.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's probably good for today, because we have to save some for next time, right?
Right.
But I want to thank you for coming on the show. This has been fun.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's definitely something we'll have to do again, and we'll let the listeners have some feedback and let us know. What do you think about Lee? How great is Lee? Let us know.
Oh, how terrible is Lee? Right into Shawn. Everyone complained to Shawn.
Yes.
Like fill his mailbox with complaints about my hot takes and stuttering and everything else. Do it. Do it. I'm sure he will appreciate it.
Yeah. So if you want to follow us, you can check us out at post-apocalyptic.com, and we have. Not only do we have all of our social media, we also have our Discord information right there. So you can go and talk to Lee right there. You can talk directly to Lee in Discord.
Spicy.
Yeah.
I'll get even more spicy in the Discord channel.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, check all that out. Again, I want to thank everyone for listening. And as always, I want to give the advice to stay alive out there and always be ready for the big one. See you later.
It's coming. See you later.